Chapter 4. Triggers and Symptoms. As I write, there are triggers going off in my head, and anger and sadness are present. So I guess the timing is perfect because I get to write through this. There's no real problem, but I will tell you what the trigger is saying. You're broke, Neil. You have no business writing this book when rent is due. It's got a point. Or does it? I'm writing this book with $40 in my pocket, and rent is due in 3 days. My son's birthday is in a few weeks, and I don't have a plan yet to get to Chicago to spend it with him, or even send him a gift. There is guilt, shame, and hopelessness filling my body as I allow the anger from the embarrassment to be here in this space with me, not as me. These sensations sharing time in my heart and belly right now, calling me a piece of shit, a loser, and a fuck-up. It's telling me that I'll never be good enough because I never was. Real original bullshit machine. It has evidence of all of this from my past. It's telling me this book is a pipe dream and nobody will read it. You already wrote a book that only a few people bought, Neil. Where do you get off? Where do you get the balls? Who the hell do you think you are? You're going to disappoint your son again on his birthday because you don't want to get a real job? Why? For a book you don't have any idea will sell, and for people you don't know if it'll help, you don't know if it's going to help anyone. Get back in the safe car business that you know and love. Uh-oh. Here comes an argument. First of all, bullshit machine. What the hell is a real job? Is a real job helping someone save $2 on a monthly payment? Is it getting them to pay $2 more? Making sure their taxes aren't off by pennies because I'll look dishonest? Maybe it's risking my life and testing my patience on the thousands of test drives I went on with people of all driving habits and abilities. Because, sitting here with 43 years on this planet under my belt, the real job thing seems to be more of a weird culture lie we were born into that helps create many of the problems that keep us addicted and in our small stories. Maybe, in real life, a real job is using our critical life experience to help others along in their journey and letting go of the heavy burdens we've been carrying around all these years, provided we are capable of doing so at the time. So, why am I calling out the triggers I'm hearing right now in a personal development book about anxiety, addiction, and awakening to the truth of who we are? To illustrate that they're not real even though they're present. Also, to point out a truth that a big reason they're present is because I feel really great about this book so far. And I'm aware of a pattern that when I start feeling good about something, the bullshit machine senses danger and wants me to feel small, so I'll sabotage it. Then I don't have to grow. The wonderful compliments I'm hearing in my head are my past trying to get into the present by creating a future that would be hard to cope with. Missing my son's birthday and not paying the rent seem like valid triggers, but they're not happening in reality, nor would it be the end of the world if either of those things did happen, even though the bullshit machine is trying to fill me with guilt like it would be. The thing is complaining and worrying about what isn't happening, and I feel really awesome about what I'm doing right now. So I'll keep doing this and keep growing the shit out of myself. Wait, what does grow the shit out of myself mean? I don't know. Well, I said it. Well, then take it back. It's weird. Like this paragraph. No, leave it in. The person reading this is having fun with it. How do you know? I'm a good guesser. Sorry, getting off track. I'll stop typing this conversation I'm having with myself now. I also want to point out that it's also the same type sensation that used to get me to binge drink and chain smoke cigarettes, so I feel that I've come a long way. What's the difference now? It sure as shit ain't willpower. It's because I've taken and continue to take accountability for how I feel by allowing for the time to feel the sensations that cause those thoughts, where they are, and how they operate. I know the bullshit machine has its version of what it's talking about because it's rooted in my past, which doesn't exist anymore. It might be repeating something we saw in a movie, or heard someone say to me or another person. Who knows? The truth is that what it's complaining about has zero to do with this present moment. So I'll keep typing while these sensations are in my body, and these false stories are playing in my head. Writing this book is also not who I've been in any of my past stories, and the bullshit machine sees this as the demise of the Neil it created and loves to protect. The bullshit machine is recognizing the unfamiliarity and triggering a dangerous situation so it can stay small. Maybe not dangerous exactly, but if the scenario it made up plays out like it was written, the bullshit machine will have been right, and all would be well with the universe according to it. As long as the bullshit machine is right, it has done its job, even if it's right about our failing. A trigger is nothing more than the bullshit machine using something in the present moment to remind itself of the past so it can make up a worrisome present or future scenario. When I think about it like that, it actually sounds kind of challenging and even fun. A mental argument with reality ensues like, I shouldn't feel this way. as sensations of anxiety are triggered in our present environment, which encourages us to search for, point out, and avoid all the dangers that may exist in the scenario we're in. Since it's also now looking through the filter of anxiety, even the absence of danger can appear dangerous. It's a little too quiet. Usually, the dangers it makes up are associated with some trauma from the past that it's using to try to convince you that it's right, and that you're in danger because it wants to protect you from the danger it's making up. Without our awareness, it says and does what it wants. Even if the dangers aren't there, the bullshit machine has the ability to trigger your farthest stretched fears to argue with reality. It's like someone avoiding Chuck E. Cheese's because they don't like rats. Sit with that. Then sit with some of the other reasons you make up to argue with reality and avoid feeling life. You know what you like and don't like, right? Maybe, maybe not. But most of us at least know what our ego's like in our external environment because they're running the show most of the time. The ego makes itself, its thoughts, and its scenarios really important, so it has something to figure out. The reality is that none of what I'm thinking about is going on right now. I'm just writing down what it's saying. Just because there is a somewhat valid concern for what it has to say, doesn't mean that worrying about it is right. That's the part we must transcend internally. I mean, did you read the first few chapters? They're gold, pure gold. And it only gets better. The bullshit machine hasn't a clue about its delusion, and I'm going to keep it that way. The truth is that I love what I'm doing right now, and I have so much positive feedback on what I'm writing, who it will help, and what is possible, that I'd be crazy to listen to the lies. And here's another truth. I felt like a victim in my childhood, and I know that my son is not a victim, even though I feel guilty for not being the dad I thought I would be in my head. It's a good thing I'm his dad too. I'm open to everything that happens in his bullshit machine, so he doesn't have to hide, or feel like he has little to no choice on who he thinks he has to be, or follow 1,000 different addictions to try to fix himself. He gets to be himself no matter what, and I get to be the person I'm becoming, and give him the absolute best loving and stable version of myself every day. His mother is an absolutely wonderful person, and loves him to pieces. His stepfather is an awesome guy, who loves my son dearly and has much to give and teach. He has the little brother he always wanted, and a brand spanking new sister. Congratulations to my ex-wife. Great job, Mommy. She's so beautiful, and Jay, my son, says her farts smell kinda nice. All I'm experiencing is a trigger and nothing more. Since writing those paragraphs above, in fact, the sensations have subsided to virtually nothing. I didn't even let it get to a symptom, which I'll explain very shortly. Calling out anxiety works. I do it all the time. It's the opposite of resistance. It is embracing the present moment, and it works. Another way to look at it is that a trigger's job is to bring up something from the past so the emotion can be seen. But most people ignore it until it becomes a symptom of something that we ignored with distractions and addictions. When our addictions stop working, and our symptoms are now present more often, the next step is to call the prescription writer and have them write a prescription. Although, as many recent news stories and reports cite, more and more people are becoming sicker from and addicted to the prescriptions the prescription writers are writing, so that's becoming less of an option. No patient is a winner when it comes to suppressing symptoms, because suppression never addresses the root of the issue. It's always your call, but if the addiction starts in your head and is telling you to distract yourself from the trigger, then it's trying to hide something, so you won't see it. If you don't distract yourself, there is a chance to see the emotional trauma as a sensation before it turns into moving toward an addiction, and well before it turns into a disease. The trigger is not bad. The way we ignore or react to triggers is what makes us believe we're broken. What I'm saying is, just feel it for a minute before you freak out. For anxiety as we know it to exist, there has to be resistance to the reality of the present moment, which means that when you see anxiety happen in someone else, or experience anxiety yourself, something is arguing with reality. How does it happen? Why would anyone argue with the reality of the present moment? What does it mean, argue with the present moment? The bullshit machine is always running, which means it's always looking for and finding triggers through the filter it created to keep us under the illusion that it's protecting us by judging what it sees instead of seeing what it sees. So much so, that people are usually not listening to what they're hearing from someone else in a conversation, but rather what the BSM thinks about what the other person is saying. It's also judging through its filter, what you think of that person, how they look and sound, previous interactions, body language, and even the environment you're in. But that's not all. The bullshit machine is so thorough. It is even bringing the way you've been feeling about yourself and your life into your conversations. Pissed off at your significant other because of an argument this morning? Cool. The bullshit machine is judging the rest of your interactions throughout the day based on how pissed off you are at someone who is not even there. Congratulations. So, even if there is nothing wrong in the present moment, and the BSM hasn't let go of what happened earlier that day, week, or even 20 years ago, it still gets to run your life if you're unconscious to it. The sensations of anxiety rarely coincide with reality, and society's most common answer is to medicate them. We're medicating a version of ourselves that's beating us up mentally for how we're feeling right now, and it's using something from the past in the present as evidence as to why we shouldn't feel this way. This provides the bullshit machine a platform to try to figure out how to control what it can't, which can leave it with a feeling of helplessness, and nobody wants to feel helpless, so we medicate. So, if we're medicating that version of ourselves that's not rooted in victimhood and not reality, then we must think that's who we are. But is it? Many of us have created a cop in our head that's stopping crimes before they start, and he or she is using mental police brutality to do it. So who are we really victim to? It's very easy to be unconsciously triggered and accept the bullshit machine story about it as reality, even when it turns against you. We're unknowingly building up anger, frustration, and other heavy emotions with ourselves as we distract ourselves from and ignore our sensations. We're carrying unchecked emotions that are being woven into our personality, which means we might be pissed off, sad, or frustrated more than we think. Stay with me. I'm talking about carrying heavy emotions for extended periods of time, which means our symptoms will start showing up soon. Have you ever had a thought that you didn't know was coming and then immediately got upset with yourself and maybe even kicked your own ass mentally because you had that thought? Why would anybody hate on themselves for having a thought they didn't know they were going to have? That's the cop we programmed. Most people see berating themselves as a way to discipline themselves, but I see it as more than that. There is part of ourselves that is actually scolding our own self for having a thought that we didn't even know where it came from. The bullshit machine triggers can unconsciously make many aspects of the environment you're in wrong, including you. Right, Neil. When something brushes up against the strict set of values I learned from my parents, I'm going to correct myself harshly. I am who I am. I know what's right, and that won't change. I was brought up with a set of unbreakable morals that my parents taught me, and those morals have served me well for the most part. I hate all the right people, do what I'm told, avoid all the right things, drive under the speed limit, and I'm a voter. I pay my taxes, go to church sometimes, and I'm almost never late. In fact, I'm usually 15 minutes early for important occasions. Can you feel rigidness, anger, or resentment in this paragraph? Can you feel that these are beliefs that are carried and will dictate how this person feels in and about most situations? I get it. Punctuality is important. But if you're living through a program installed 30 years ago, you may be still living under your parents' roof, so to speak. Our power extends far beyond learned values who we vote for, but society tells us that's where our power lies. Many people are living a dream that was sold to them and aren't sure why something doesn't feel right. So if that's you, you're not alone. Like, everybody is going through this to some degree, not alone. Like, you're the majority, not alone. Like, if you were looking for water and you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean, not alone. We are so not alone in the way we hold on to old values, morals, and subconscious patterns that the pharmaceutical industry has a thriving, world-dominating business built around the majority not being able to let go of their emotions. Humans unknowingly walk around, holding onto and storing emotions that are waiting to be triggered. We even unconsciously defend ourselves against them and call out people who call us out wrong for doing so. We carry so many of our beliefs around. It becomes our list of things others can't say, do, or think around us, and then we show it to whoever will listen and scold whoever won't. When that list is not honored by our environment, symptoms of anxiety appear, and a different kind of journey begins. What's wrong with trying to get our environment to cater to how we feel? Nothing. Except that, after a while of carrying around unnecessary bullshit and showing to everyone your body is like, you really need to start paying attention to yourself, and you may begin to see symptoms that might be temporarily treatable with a prescription, or a night out drinking, or both. Some sensation might start in the gut as a little anxiety and grow into something physical or gaseological. Trying to figure out if gaseological is a word. It's not. Recent medical studies suggest that the way we think and act has far more to do with our health than previously recognized. There are a growing number of real-life examples and scientific studies where stress and anxiety has been found as the root cause of many conditions. Maybe you've been suppressing something in yourself like creativity and self-expression out of fear, and it leads to unhealthy behaviors that may lead to disease. It could be that one of 1,000 news stories triggered a subconscious memory a few weeks ago, and the universe thinks it's a perfect time for you to look at it, but you go binge drinking every time the trigger goes off instead. When we experience these sensations, it's like the universe is saying, feel the life you've been given right now in this moment, always. Everything will be explained when you need it to be explained. And we're trying like humans to resist all the feelings that are showing up. Those feelings are for our experience. That's why we get to have them. When the symptom is small, don't freak out. Focus on it. Feel it. Call it out. Sometimes living life is about just being. Sit down. Shut up. God is telling you something, and all you must do is listen. You do have to listen past your initial bullshit machine thoughts, but all you must do is listen. When someone gives you a glass of water, you don't question it or resist it, especially if you're thirsty. You drink it. Life is giving us the sensations to feel. The least we can do is feel them without medicating them so quickly. I'm not saying abandon your doctor or medications when symptom or sensation show up in your body, but I am saying before you reach the phone, or go straight to the medicine cabinet, or the bar, chill the F out for a second and feel the sensations. You might begin to realize that your earliest symptoms are more likely just your body telling you that you're not in alignment with yourself at the moment, and that some rest and reflection is needed for them to dissipate. The sensations in your body that you're calling symptoms of a diagnosed or a WebMD undiagnosed disease may be an indication that you're under a lot of stress and are being too hard on your physical body. Many people may be medicating their awakenings too. When I started the journey of healing my internal organs, I was scared out of my mind just thinking about not having any type of drug to take to calm me down when I felt symptoms. The symptoms I had were mean and rude psychologically, and often belittled me and told me I was stupid for not taking medication, which causes more anxiety, making the symptoms worse, and so on. But I knew this was a mental construct, and had to be broken. I had been so used to reaching for any type of pill bottle or fix anytime the sensations got too great, and I'd start to really panic and get nervous, like I wanted to run out of my skin, if I couldn't get the relief of the pills I was prescribed. I was terrified to do it initially, but I knew I had to sit through the panic of not being able to use my pharmaceuticals, so I could learn that I didn't have to use my pharmaceuticals to live. Sure, it felt like I was going to die sometimes, but that was the bullshit machine responding to withdrawals of the delusion of safety that were given to me by the pills that were making me sicker. How did I get through it and do it? Thanks for asking. I kept whatever pills I thought were the most necessary right next to me in case of an emergency, and sat with the sensations in my body that were telling me to take those pills. Guess what? Most of the time, I did take the pills, but I kept doing it, and was usually able to sit for longer and longer without taking them each time I did. I even substituted pills from natural supplements to try and trick myself. And then one day, I didn't take any of the pills, and that was the proof I needed to finally see through the lie I was telling myself, that the pills I was taking were doing anything positive to my body. Now I had my freedom of choice back. This wasn't an easy thing to do, because it involved me trusting myself, life, God, and the human body by keeping the power and hope that I was giving to the medical industry, and that goes against everything I ever learned about health. Most people who are asleep in our culture will probably think that what I just typed are the words of a crazy person. That's perfectly fine with me, because I already know the results. I am now someone who is willing to challenge the beliefs I've carried and have become far greater than what those beliefs promise me. There is a widespread belief that the pharmaceutical industry and the healthcare industry are going to make humanity healthy. But for me, there is too much evidence pointing to the opposite, so it was time for me to challenge those beliefs. So, what am I getting at by telling this story? Whatever you're taking pharmaceutically, whoever you're seeking medically, don't change anything from your current situation, and follow doctor's orders if that's what makes you feel comfortable. Those are your beliefs right now. In my story, I challenged the medical beliefs I had in the safest surroundings that I thought were possible, which included having the medication I was taking near me should the situation get too intense. Rationally, I knew the worst thing that could happen was I would either take the pill or find out what happened if I didn't, but I had to be willing to find out what could happen if I didn't. I didn't know what was on the other side of the pain from the withdrawals, not only from the pills, but from the mainstream medical industry itself. I was just willing to find out. That's what I'm getting at. Our willingness to challenge our own beliefs and feel through the sensations that we're used to medicating and using addictions to distract ourselves from is a major step into learning the truth of who we are. Then, actually sitting with the symptoms or sensations and learning from them in real time is another major step. Looking for courage? This is where I found mine. Next time a symptom shows up, sit with the sensations in your body and just feel, experience, and listen. That's it for now. If the bullshit machine asks, "What's the point?" then you're doing it right. If you're unwilling to sit with your symptoms just yet, or if it sounds completely crazy to do so, here's something to experience that will help you practice, and maybe even debunk the crazy in your body. Take it extremely easy on yourself right now because this is still fairly early in the book, and there are a lot more words on the way to help this make sense. Remember that you don't have any fences to swing for, or anything to accomplish right now. We'll go deeper later. Find and go to what you would consider a safe and comfortable space. Next, write down a list of things you might be triggered by, avoid, and generally think are just plain wrong or stupid. Start with the thoughts and judgments that are showing up right now in your moment, and continue from there. They don't even have to be negative towards the present moment. Just hear what's being said. As you write, observe and get to know how your body is reacting as you're thinking about these things, and writing them down. This is a way to get to know how your feelings work with your thoughts. When the bullshit machine says you're in danger because you might feel the feelings you're writing about, observe what it says, and hear that it might be trying to keep busy so you don't feel the feelings. Keep your awareness on what these sensations mean to your body. Is fear really fear? Is the sensation all that bad? Are you in any actual danger? Look around in your safe space to find the answer, and let your body feel the sensations. If they're there, you know you're alive, so don't let the bullshit machine convince you that you're dying. Thoughts become words, words become conversations, and conversations become life. So it's good to know what thoughts we're putting our energy towards. Sit with the sensations and emotions that show up and don't try and fix anything. You don't need anyone's judgment or opinion on anything right now. The sensations just need to be seen, heard, and felt. The point of this experience is to allow your emotions to be experienced without fixing anything. There's nothing wrong. It's just you in a room, connected to the space you're in a comfortable breathing rhythm, feeling through your experience. This may help crack the shell of some beliefs, so allow yourself to see how powerful you are beyond what the bullshit machine thinks of you. That's growth. And who knows? Maybe you'll start to see a decline in the need or desire for medication, and an increase in health so your doctor has undeniable evidence it needs to take you off of it, if you're still a customer. Let's go to the next chapter and find out what else I typed.